purpose of this interview is around health matters. How have you learned to stay fit while touring?
I think I have not always stayed fit while touring. Early on, I was more hungover while touring, to be honest. Most people who get into the music industry are suddenly like on a tour surrounded by free alcohol all the time. It's kind of hard for any young person to resist. But fortunately, I have made better habits, and I use. I'm not sponsored by Nike, but I use the Nike training app. Basically, like it's a lot of body weight exercise. So it can sometimes be a combination of like yoga and Pilates, or it can be like HIIT workouts, planks, lots of mountain climbers, lots of, like skiers. Often you're like staying in some motel on the side of a like highway. So that's when I'll do the little like hotel room workout. But if we're touring through Europe, like I'll always kind of go for a run when I wake up in the morning, or otherwise if we're on a tour bus, like if I'm arriving at the venue at 3:00, I'll try go for a run around the city, because often that's the only way you're even seeing the city when you go from place to place on tour. I find that, like using your body weight, less likely to get injured than trying to use weights in a gym. Up on stage, like, I'm kind of usually wearing clothing that's like revealing a lot of my body, and so like staying in shape is like kind of part of my job. I guess like as an artist, you think about the kind of image that you want to project to the audience, and I like the idea of on stage appearing as strong, fit woman who's like, doing my thing up on stage, and like that's part of achieving that goal is kind of being dedicated to working out every day. You can see a performer on stage when they're confident and when they're not, and it's important to me, and because it's a big part of my life. I want to enjoy it, and I don't want to feel self-conscious on stage, and I want to feel confident in my body. But the mental health aspect is just as huge. Touring is a total emotional roller coaster, especially when you throw alcohol or whatever else into the mix. Like, you kind of have that high coming off stage, and then, you have had a few drinks and your sleep quality is kind of crappy that night, and then you're sort of having to like sit in a van all day the next day, staring out the window, kind of like being like, oh wow, I have to do this all again tonight and tomorrow and the next day and the next day for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So I think it's exercise, like really making time to exercise is I think gives you more longevity as a touring artist, for sure.
Mm-hmm. As you're well aware, your situation is unique in that you're a well-known Australian musician who tours the world, but you also are a doctor. There's not many of you, Sophie. You might be the only one. Certainly the only one I'm aware of.
Dennis Tech.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's the one other. Actually, there's two. Dennis Tech. And I think he's the bass player from Bad Dreams. He's a plastic surgeon. They're in my wide search, they are the two people that I have found who do a similar thing. Although they were further along in their medical field than me.
We spoke earlier about alcohol and its prevalence in the music industry, and other things beyond alcohol, of course. Given your medical knowledge, am I correct in assuming that you might be smart enough to avoid things like that, or are you just as dumb as the rest of us?
I'm maybe somewhere in the middle. I'm not a sober person, but I have found with each year that passes that when I drink, I cannot sleep. So I drink when I have good reason to, but otherwise I abstain.